Jun Furutani's latest Dragon Ball Sparking Zero interview has a lot of major teases for the future of this game. But before we get into that, we need to go over something fairly major, and that is the pre-order bonus character Goku Mini is going to be Japanese only. That's right. So if you get the pre-order bonus character, even if you have the English localization audio turned on, he will only be in Japanese, and that's probably due to the fact that they did not officially bring back the other Goku voice actor that they got after Stephanie Nadolny, because if they did, they probably would have already had her voicing him here. So they had her come back for the other Kid Gokus and Kid Gohans. But, you know, for him, for Daima Goku, nothing official is set yet. Obviously, this game was in development for a while, and they just only recently started casting for Daima Goku. So that's interesting there. Also, I had some comments saying this character is actually just early access, and you'll get him just by playing the game or whatever. That's not true. Pre-order bonus may be sold at a later date without prior notice, but officially, as of right now, this is the pre-order bonus character. The early access characters, it says it on the image, there are only 6 early access characters. That's the 3 Gojitas from Super and the 3 Brolys from Super. Without further ado, let's get into the latest interview coming from IGN with Jun Furutani. So, a lot of this stuff is stuff that he's gone over in the past, but there's a couple big things that kind of have some major teases for the future. So, the first question here that I wanted to get into, so I actually wanted to touch upon these branches. Can you go into a little detail about how significant these branches actually go? How much of a different game am I playing if I follow one of those branches versus someone who just followed the canonical story of Dragon Ball? Furutani responds, so it's a really hard question to answer, but depending on which branch we're talking about, it could skew very in completely different direction. But some branches might just go back to the actual canonical route again. For example, the example he used is very early if you were to play the Goku episode battles. Real quick before we go on in the interview, there's a lot of times where it says Furutani, but then the actual quote says the example he used. So I think this is somebody translating for Furutani, just to clear up any confusion there. So when you fight Raditz, there's some smaller branches that have been there, but it takes you back to the canonical route, and obviously after Raditz is Vegeta, and after Vegeta is Frieza. So yeah, some of them are just blips. I guess some of them kind of take you in a more different, very drastically different direction. Now here's a big answer to this question here. So I know you probably can't say, but I gotta ask, through these what-if scenarios, is there any chance we could see any new fusions born in the game? And this is a little bit of a tease. Very cool question, hard question to answer. We want to leave the ifs a little hidden for until the game is out. Now, this is kind of big because they also hid how big the roster was, and they left a few things as a surprise. So it would not surprise me if this is also something they're going to keep hidden. They do say we want to leave the ifs a little hidden for until the game comes out. So it's possible that there are more secrets for them to reveal. And then later on in the interview, they talk about some other major changes or additions. Let's just look for... Here it is. So this is about the DLC. I know you guys announced you're announcing the giant roster of 150 plus characters, but obviously this is an age where DLCs to keep games going on. Do you have any plans, DLC plans for Sparking Zero? Are they going to be character packs, additional story content, or anything else on the horizon? So obviously, if you've kept up with Sparking Zero, they've talked about this, that there's going to be 3 packs, and they're going to focus on Sparking Zero and Daima, but we didn't know how they were going to split them up. So here we go. So in regards to the characters, they have plans to release 3 DLC packs covering characters from Super Hero and Daima. So there's 3 packs total from those 2, Dragon Ball Super, Super Hero, and Daima, split into 3 basically. And then a minor explanation about the characters from the manga not getting in. I know it's thinking maybe too far ahead, but I just want to get your thought on it. But there's a lot of cool characters in the Dragon Ball Super manga right now that I think a lot of fans would love to see, like Granola and Moro, very cool characters. Are those characters that are on your radar, or would you like to touch upon characters in the manga that haven't gotten to appear in the anime yet? Furutani responds, at this point, the short answer is it's difficult for him to talk about these things. Yeah, due to various situations. I'm sure you understand. due to various situations. So basically, if you haven't been keeping up with it, there's a lot of drama behind the scenes about the legal issues, and basically making this game, they're only allowed to adapt the anime of Dragon Ball Super, and the anime of Dragon Ball Super hasn't adapted the manga of Dragon Ball Super, and it's a whole story behind the scenes. I actually made some videos talking about that if you want to get on about it. I think I titled it something like Dragon Balls of Chaos or whatever, so just go ahead and look it up from my channel, or you can, just Google it. It's pretty easy to find out. Talk to me about the stages of Sparking Zero. How many will be in the game? So as of right now, there's 12 stages. There are people that are a little bit upset about this, and they may or may not change in the future, but there's tons of gimmicks per stage. For example, if we're fighting on Planet Manu, I think that's a mistranslation. It's probably supposed to be Namek. There is a Planet Manu, but I'm pretty sure this is Namek because this Planet Namu is not in the game. If you were to use a strong move going from the sky and you happen to hit the planet, you will see a change into when Frieza is fighting Goku towards the end of that saga, so destroyed Planet Namek basically. Pretty sure you recognize what I'm talking about. Another one is the Tenkaichi stage, where if you use a powerful attack and it goes into the bleachers, they are going to run away, the spectators, and it would kind of effectively expand the stage so fighters are able to fight in a wider stage as well. And we also get some other information about stuff that I think everybody knows. Crossplay, here we go. Crossplay is something that I don't believe is currently planned for Sparking Zero. If it is, please correct me, but can you talk a little bit about what the challenges are with regards to including crossplay in this game, and is it something that you hope to include post-launch? For Tony explains, one of these touchy subjects, it's very difficult for him to explain. The short professional answer is, yeah, there's a difficulty that we have to go through to get crossplay to work, so that's where we stand right now. As for your question about future, obviously we don't know yet, but yeah. And yeah, that's basically it. So he's asking him in this question about, like, what are you going to do after the episode battle? And they basically say custom battle, where you can make your own, battles and stuff like that, your own what ifs basically. So that's stuff that we already went over in the last video. So that was the interview, but stay with me. There's something else I need to talk about. Culture Crave posted Dragon Ball Sparking Zero will launch with 182 playable characters, and for some reason they said Sparkling Zero. Mistranslation. Well, not mistranslation, typo. Anyway, 182 characters, pretty big. And then Damon Mills responds, and he's pretty much partly responsible for the dubbing of this game. He's been directing a lot of it, but he said himself he's not doing all of it, but he is doing a fair bit of work. He says, I believe it's also the longest we spent on recording production for a base game. We spent a full year recording this, and I think I spent over 30 hours recording myself on Frieza. Just a few more weeks. Can't wait to play and to hear what everyone thinks. Flame emoji. So that's interesting that this is the longest he spent recording production on a game, a base game, probably not including the DLC. A full year is crazy. But I've also heard that people say that they spend a long time recording games versus anime. But this is still pretty big. Now, what's unfortunate is that if you're doing the custom battles and you're creating your own what-ifs, they're not voiced. A lot of people are assuming that's why it's got so much dubbing. But I'd say it's probably just because of all the alternate paths and the stories with the what-if stuff and all the grunts and stuff you're doing and all the different forms of Frieza. So that makes sense there. And the last story of the day, Toyotaro returns to Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Super Divers one-shot manga by Toyotaro will be published in the upcoming issue of V-Jump set to release in October. This is to celebrate the launch of the new game. So in case you're not aware, a one-shot is basically a single issue of a manga. It would not surprise me if they're doing this because they want Toyotaro to work, but as we always talk about, there are some issues behind the scenes, so he's not really able to get to work like he probably would like to. So they're like, hey Toyotaro, we need somebody to draw this, why don't you do it? So this new protagonist for Dragon Ball Super Divers is not Beat, he's a new character altogether. And he looks pretty cool, honestly. I'm not Japanese. I don't have any access to any Japanese arcade machine thing. So some people are excited about Dragon Ball Super Divers. Maybe you are Japanese and you have access to these arcade machines. That's cool. Or maybe you're a Japanese resident or whatever. But For me, I'm not a Japanese resident. I don't have access to these machines, so I don't think I'm excited. But the interesting thing is that I kind of didn't expect them to go too far in the direction of Heroes, where they do a lot of fan fiction and stuff. But since they're doing a tie-in manga, maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll see how things go. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. A little bit of a more casual video, just going over some interview stuff and then mentioning the Toyotaro Return the Dragon Ball at the end here. Pretty major that Toyotaro is basically just doing whatever he can until the manga comes back. So I do expect him to be back on the manga when it comes back sometime soon. By sometime soon, hopefully soon, but no, nobody knows for sure. They have a lot of stuff to settle behind the scenes. Anyways, guys, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to stay up to date with all things Dragon Ball news and commentary. And I will see you in the next one. Peace off.